Now, she isn't just any CEO. She's the Executive Vice President, CEO of Salesforce. Please, this is the Ask the CEO session, so make sure you have your questions ready. So I will be panning it to the audience as well if you have any questions. Yeah, this will be a me and you thing, yeah? Are we good with that? Yeah? All right, cool. Please give a warm welcome to my special guest, Zahra Bahrololoumi. Thank you, guys. That energy was great. Love it.
Hi. Oh, we've got the hungry crowd today.
You got the one with the air.
I'm Madonna.
You got the one with the air. That's nice. I like that one. Hi, Zahra. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm not too bad. How was your journey in?
It was frantic.
Why?
It was frantic because I was on the phone.
Okay, cool. Actually, Sam told me about that conversation. Was it?
It was a bit heated.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was a bit heated.
Did you shout?
I might have done. I don't really shout. I was just very firm.
Okay. So how you been?
I'm good. I'm good.
Happy to have you here. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you for having me. And I have to say, it's a privilege and an honor to be here. And what a brilliant setup.
I know.
Amazing.
It's incredible. This is my first time at Black Tech Fest, and I was just telling Ashley as well, like when I walked in, this looks incredible. The staff has been amazing.
Yeah.
Everyone just looks great.
Slick.
Everyone's literally trying to find a future in tech.
It is
and I feel like that's
amazing.
just amazing to see.
And I went to the Black Tech Awards earlier this year.
Yeah. How was that?
Do you know, I don't get out much. It was amazing. And I knew all this. I was like, this track. I was listening to music. It was amazing and it was inspiring. And I wanted to hire everybody. Literally.
Oh, really?
I wanted to hire
Could
everybody.
you do it, though?
So what I failed to do is I failed to take home the list, you know, of all the people.
Yeah.
The next time, I'm going to do that and I'm going to ring round.
You probably can do that today as well.
I will do that
Are you going to be
today.
sticking around a bit so people can come up to you?
I'm afraid I can't. I have to be at King's Cross at 1,
wow.
but I'll stay as long as I can.
So we might as well get the questions on the way then.
Yeah.
All right, so please just tell us a bit more about yourself and how you got started in the industry.
So I don't have a tech background.
Yeah.
So I didn't study tech. I studied management at uni. And I was rejected from my dream profession, right?
Which was?
So I wanted to work for the Foreign and Commonwealth Office.
Wow.
And I wanted to represent the UK.
Yeah.
But my parents are both Iranian, and they came to the UK in the early 70s. And the rules back then, in the 90s, because I'm ancient, right? So in the 90s, to work for the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, if you were a child, you had to be a second-generation immigrant.
Yeah.
Or your parents had to have been in the country for more than 30 years.
Wow.
Right? So I literally kept applying. I went to all the careers fairs. I knew they'd be there. And I got turned down because of my heritage.
That's crazy.
Because of my heritage. And now I think, you need me now. I'm a Farsi speaker. Look at how the world's changed. Wouldn't that have been amazing? So I actually fell into tech. I fell into tech. At a careers fair, and I thought, well, I was a bit forlorn. And I remember using the words at the career desk with the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. I just said, I am not a terrorist. I want to represent the UK. So I applied, and actually I applied to a tech software company. I stayed there for about a year. I got a little bit bored, and then I joined a company called Anderson Consulting.
Yeah.
And by that point, I knew tech was on the horizon, but I didn't really understand it, and I wanted the education in it. And I made my conditions clear. I said, I will only join Anderson Consulting if you put me in tech and I can learn. And that's how I got started. And I really, you didn't have Google back then. You didn't have online training. I had to go to classroom training to learn COBOL, JCL, SQL. I had to buy books to learn what the TCP/IP stack was. They were dull books.
So you really got stuck in.
I had to get stuck in because I thought this is something that's going to be important.
Yeah.
And I couldn't quite place or name it. And it was well before the dot-com boom and the dot-com bubble.
Yeah.
And actually, that's how I built up my career.
Wow.
And I'm now the CEO of Salesforce. Yeah. UKI.
That deserves a round of applause.
Thank you.
Do you know what I mean? Tell us about your commitment to equality and some diversity initiatives that you're driving right now.
Yeah. So I'm a huge believer in, well, not a believer. I live equality. I live the values of equality. I'm over the conversation now about why it's a good idea. When I was working at Accenture, I had a very large team, and I led the technology business in Accenture. So I was responsible for all of our technology business. in Accenture in the UK and Ireland, and I've heard every excuse about why not, why can't I hire this person. I've heard every excuse.
Yeah.
And I actually was the equality and inclusion leader for technology globally, and that was for 250,000 people. So I can tell you the excuses I get in Japan compared to the excuses I got in Germany, compared to the excuses I've heard it all. And actually, I've learnt now that the thing that matters is representation and inclusion. And actually, it's data. It's the data that matters. I don't want to win anybody's hearts and minds anymore. I am relentless in that. So what I mean by that specifically, within Salesforce, my top table is 9 of us. 6 of us are women, 3 of us are ethnic minorities. 1 from Ghana, 1 from South Asia, 1 from Iran, right? You have to put that, and by the way, it's not a token gesture. We are the top performing geography. And people are looking at us going, why? And I say, well, this is why, right? So representation, inclusion, I care about 4 things. I care about hiring. I care about development.
Yeah.
I care about progression. And I care about experience. And I look at that data with my leadership team regularly, and regularly, whether it's monthly, whether it's weekly, we look at that data regularly. And so now we've already uplifted our gender representation. We've already uplifted our ethnicity representation. And I look at pay gap. So even before it's a legal requirement, I want to close the gap on gender pay, and I want to close the gap on ethnicity pay. And we are trending absolutely in the right direction. So, we can put in a whole load of initiatives. I've got an equality board, but unless that accountability is to me, nothing happens. And actually, I love Salesforce because equality is a core value. Yeah. And actually, globally, all of our top execs, we are paid on a whole load of equality metrics. And I was really for that. And I won't promote anybody in my organisation.
Was that always in place, or did that happen?
No, that's happened in the last 6 months.
Since you've been there?
Well, everybody is pushing for that for globally, right? That's not down to me. But I wouldn't promote anybody that doesn't advocate or have a diverse mindset, a diverse team, because it's the right thing to do. Yeah. And because, look, I've just said, we're the top performing geography. Because we have the best team.
They have the best team, guys. They have the best team.
I'm really proud of them.
What does a typical day entail for you?
Oh, my God.
Yeah? What is your day-to-day like?
I don't have a typical day.
Okay.
So where do I focus my time? My time is predominantly with customers. I spend a lot of time with customers. I want to understand how we're showing up as Salesforce. I want to know what their challenges are, how we can help, where they've got issues. So customers, we do a lot of work with partners. So I want to, I invest a lot of time with partners, and I spend a lot of time with people. So, Sam will be with me yesterday. Yesterday was a really, I started out breakfast meeting with a customer. I then had to go and talk our Slack Frontiers. We own Slack. Anyone heard of Slack? Yeah, so I went to the Slack Frontiers presentation to give a keynote. Then I came and did a town hall with our people. Then we had our global execs in town, and then it was more customers. So every day is different, but that's where I spend my time.
And could you actually tell us a little bit about what your role involves?
Yeah. So Salesforce is a software company, software as a service. My job is leading the UK and Ireland, and so it's my responsibility. The thing that people need from me is growth. The business needs growth. So it's my job to define how we're going to get there with my team and get the whole business behind me. Ultimately, that's what I do, right? I have to manage all of our customer relationships. I have to manage, as I said, my partner relationships, but that is my job, to deliver growth in the UK and I.
And has there been any difficult times for you whilst trying to pursue that goal as well? How do you deal with the day-to-day difficult challenges? Yeah,
there's difficult challenges all the time. So if I look at externally and internally, there are a different set of challenges. So externally, we're in an economically challenging time. We've got high inflation, high interest rates, energy supply chain issues, and they all impact our customers. And so honestly, I have so many conversations with customers about how we can help them overcome some of the difficulties. And it's things you don't even realize. You know, it's insurance companies that say the microchip shortage and the supply chain shortage means that claims are taking so much longer, claims are taking so much longer to close. Or, you know, I spoke with a CEO of a medical company and they can't get the equipment for prosthetics. Think about how important prosthetics are, right? So I think those challenges, they're really tough to manage, and how we get creative in supporting our customers. Internally, when I started, it wasn't the business that it is today. And so to do that, to make it the performing business that it needs to be, and to put the right people in the right leadership roles, you know, it creates a lot of disruption. So I did create a lot of uncertainty and disruption. And in that moment, people say, you know, are we going to survive? You know, who is this person, and how are we going to manage through this? And keeping the faith is really hard. And I don't look or sound like anybody really in Salesforce. I'm very different, you know. So, yeah.
And that's a good thing, though.
It's a great thing. I learned that a long time ago.
Yeah.
I learned that a long time ago. Can I tell you a story?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So when I was in Accenture, I looked around me, and all of the business heads. Of the 5 business heads, 3 of them were called Andrew, and they were all of a certain demographic, and they all had the grey hair, and they were all really seasoned. And I remember my boss sitting me down and saying to me, Zahra, you know, look around you. You've got to be more Andrew. And I'm like, how do I be more Andrew?
Yeah.
And I said, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, I think you should be a little less colourful. And I say, what do I do with that? How do you cope with that kind of feedback? And I went home that night and I said to my husband, what on earth does that, what the hell does that mean? And I'm never going to be a 57-year-old white male with grey hair called Andrew. So does that mean I can't succeed here? And I remember talking to my mum about it, and she's like, no, you know, she's a little gangster mum, you know, she's like not terrified of anyone, she's Iranian, like literally, she's like, no,
I think all our mums are, to be fair,
yeah. You don't mess with my mum, right? And she's 4'3", you know, she's tiny, and she just said, know your worth, you know, don't take any of that stuff, and think about what your strengths are. So between my husband and my parents, you know, they're in the big influence, and they said, think about your strengths. And I remember going back, and I said to my boss at the time, I said, I don't understand what I can do with your feedback, but I know I'm approachable, I'm relatable, and I can bring teams along with me. And if that isn't Andrew, then I'm not in the right place. And he actually apologized and said, I realized what I said to you was just so wrong. And now I carry that with me. I'm like, I'll never be an Andrew, be authentic, and actually that's the differentiator, and I'm proud of that.
That's an amazing story, and I love the fact that you changed the concept of what Andrew meant for him as well. Yeah. Because he came back to you and apologized.
Yeah, he apologized.
Yeah, that's incredible. Guys, can we get a round of applause for that? I feel like we've all had somewhat of a similar story in a sense of where we've been in a workplace or a workstation, and do you know what I mean? We just kind of felt like the outsider, or...
Always.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, look around you, but yeah, this is the reason why I'm here. I want to change what I'm seeing around me.
Absolutely.
Because it's not working anymore.
No.
It's time for a change.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to everyone here, the young people that are attending Black Tech Fest today and tomorrow, who want to get into tech, who want to kind of launch their careers? What advice would you give them now that will be kind of useful at the early stages? Yeah.
Well, there's a range of advice. There's practical advice around, you know, how do you find opportunities? How do you acquire skills? You know, I can tell you from a Salesforce perspective, we have a free online training platform called Trailhead. It's gamified, it's fun, it's meaningful, and can give you real skills, right? So if you haven't looked at it, check it out. You sign up, it's free, and you get badges, you accumulate certain skills, and it really does enhance your value in the market. And if I tell you something, by 2027, we will add some, 9.6. Actually, let's just talk about UK. Well, I won't talk globally. In the UK, 271,000 jobs. We have 271,000 jobs to fill. And today, not just Salesforce, but in the UK, there are now more jobs than people. So it's about getting the right skills, getting the right access, seeking the opportunities. And then I would give you something more broadly. I would say do not let your background and context, if you haven't got a tech degree, if you haven't got a tech experience, do not let it hold you back. I am living proof. You know, I'm about music, diplomacy, the arts, and if I can convert and apply myself and learn new skills to lead in tech, that background and that context has made me stronger and more differentiated, right? So do not let anything hold you back. Find people that have got openings or opportunities. I'll give you another example. I wanted to join a project within Accenture that required people to have an engineering degree, and I did not take no for an answer. I did not. I literally went through every back door I possibly could to say, just get me FaceTime with I want to have the conversation. I will learn. I will be differentiated. I'm supposed to tell you, I think a lot of wisdom is find a mentor. I think that's a really hard piece of advice to take, because how are you supposed to find mentors?
Did you have a mentor?
I didn't have one single mentor.
You had multiple.
I took the best of, input from lots of different amazing people from all walks of life, from all spectrums, because actually I think it's really hard to put in one person.
Of course.
You could be my mentor, but I was listening, I was open. The thing that I did, once I got my foot in a door, I want to say to you, any role is a key to a door. It's just a door. It's just a key to a door. It's not the ultimate role. It might not be. I've taken so many roles that I didn't actually like, but I maximised the opportunity. I got my head down. I delivered results, and I've got a really, really important piece of advice to give on that. I delivered results. I got myself known, and actually that's how kind of the word of mouth spread, and I got staffed onto different projects, and I ran towards things. Every time somebody ran away from an opportunity, it's too hard, I ran towards it, and that's what differentiated me. The advice I'd give so many people, actually, is try lots of things, run towards hard stuff. But here's the key, here is the secret I've learned all my life, and this might not make sense to you, but I promise you one day you'll reflect on this, and it might do, right? So I speak to so many people that say to me, Zahra, I don't get promoted. I do this, this, and this. I've done this, I've done this, that, and this. And they give me a long list of things that they've done, but I'm not being recognized. I'm not getting the opportunity. And I say to them, but what was the biggest need in that moment? Do you, in your context, do you know around you what was the biggest need? Was it more sales? Was it fix a delivery? Was it fix the morale? What was the biggest need? If you can identify that in any job you do, or any opportunity you have, and you align yourself to that biggest need, and you deliver that, you are automatically differentiated. I promise you, you're differentiated. And so I always make a point of what's the one thing that everybody needs right now, and how can I align? How can I deliver that? And I call that the currency of success. If you can crack that currency of success, because any job you do, there's a beast that needs to be fed. Even now, I'm a CEO, I have to deliver growth. I have to deliver sales. I have to deliver. That is my currency of success. And if I can feed that, then I'm free to do whatever I want to do, however I want to do it. But if I don't feed that, then I'm under big scrutiny.
That is, that is the workforce as well. I also wanted to mention as well, I feel like you touched on quite a lot of things. One of the things that really spoke out to me as well is you established yourself and you found value in yourself, and you made sure that you let your peers know that how valuable I am by showing them. But firstly, where did you get that courage to even just establish value in yourself? Because I feel like a lot of people are in positions right now where they might not feel like they're valuable to their business or to their peers or whatever, what have you. How would someone go about making sure that they establish themselves to even muster up the courage to then, ask for more? How did you establish value?
Well, sir, I absolutely did not always think that of myself. And even today, I sit here and I think, God, can I?
Yeah.
Right, and this is negative thinking, but it's true. We all feel it. And when I started in technology within Accenture, I was already on the back foot. I was surrounded by engineers and computer science graduates, so I was automatically on the back foot. I didn't look like anybody, right? And I remember working hard to fit in, right? And even to how I dressed and how I wore my hair, literally, for women, the makeup I applied, I wasn't very vibrant. And I felt like I didn't belong, and I was one of only 2 women in that group. And the other woman said she only joined because she wanted to find a husband. So I was like, well, this is not going to be my kindred issue. This is not going to be my best friend, right? So I always felt alone. I was always on the back foot because everybody else was much more advanced. And then I realized when you ask people questions and you say, but why? Or explain that to me, they don't know as much as they think they do.
No.
They don't, do they?
No.
And actually,
No.
I noticed that. I noticed that every time I kind of progressed to a new career level, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm surrounded by all these people that know everything. And then you think actually they don't know. But what I did focus on, I go back to I was really clear on what was the biggest need in that context and how do I offer a suggestion or participate or actually deliver that outcome.
Yeah.
And then I always look back on data points. So when I made the transition from Accenture to Salesforce, I was really worried about could I be successful? And I really almost didn't take the job out of fear. I almost didn't take the job out of fear because I thought, I don't know if I can. And I always had to go back to, what did I achieve? What are the minor victories? How do they all add up? How do I stay grounded in facts and reality? And then how do I make sure I'm clear about what's ahead of me? That's all you can do.
Yeah.
You can expose your value in that way. And I'm not one for going around going, aren't I great? That's the other thing. There are a lot of people that go around like, hey, pick me. Why haven't you picked me yet? And that's not my style.
Yeah.
My leadership is not that. My leadership team is not that style. Humility, focus, results. That's what carries you through. Humility, focus, and results.
Guys, can we get another round of applause for Zahra, please? She's dropping some gems today, honestly. I'll definitely want to add to that as well. It's like, feel the fear and do it anyway, man.
Do it anyway.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. And I mean, there might even be fear just even applying. There might be fear. I mentioned it earlier as well before I started. I was like, I asked how many people in the room has actually gone and networked with someone today, met someone new today. Yeah. That is fear in itself. Do you know what I mean? Like, you might feel like you have so many thoughts in your head and be like, oh, they might think this or they might think that. But you don't know that until you actually pop up the question and be like, hey, how are you? My name is Sam. Do you know what I mean? What are you doing here? And just break that ice and actually just talk to people. That's the reason why we're here. And I just encourage people, again, network, meet people, speak to people. Again, you never know who you might see here that might have the opportunity for you to change your life.
That's great.
And I feel like that's very important. I want to give it to the audience now. You've heard me and Zahra speaking for quite some time. Is there any questions at all? Yes, thank you. Can we get a mic to him, please? Has anyone got another mic? Yes.
Have you got any fun questions?
Fun questions?
Yeah.
Hopefully the audience has some.
Testing.
Yeah. Okay.
Hear you loud and clear.
Oh, yeah.
With the deep voice. I hear you.
Feel like I want to sing a song. First of all, Zahra, it's a pleasure to meet you in person. You don't even know it yourself, but a few years ago, you helped me out greatly when you was at Accenture by referring me to a few of your team members to help us get in there on the recruitment side. So thank you so much for that.
Pleasure.
Before I go any further. Myself and my colleague here next to me, we're co-founders and directors of a Salesforce consulting partner here in the UK. We want to know what we could be doing as business owners to help our community get into tech and maybe get them into Salesforce specifically as well. How could we be doing that as business owners?
That's a really good question, and thank you for that. Honestly, I think there are a number of things. I talked about Trailhead, and I'm not defaulting to that, by the way, but I think that is such an important entry point because, for me, it makes the barrier to entry into tech a little bit more approachable. You'll be familiar with Trailhead, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
It makes it more approachable. I think, ping me. Bring your team, bring people into the Ahana floor, right? So we have a community space where we invite people from the community or organizations or not-for-profits or partners to use that space and experience and embed themselves within Salesforce. And I promise you, I will bring my leadership team and the broader team to immerse so that your folks or whoever you want to bring there can interact with and network, as Sam said, because that's absolutely key. And then if there are any initiatives we should be doing together, let's talk, let's do that. So if I think about Heather Black and the super mums, she's focused on that community. Let's connect you with some of the other folks so that you can see what initiatives have and haven't worked, like the veterans, the super mums. So I think there's so much we can do together to get people started.
That's brilliant. And not to mention your Bold Force team as well.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
it'd be good to link up with them.
Our Bold Force team are just amazing. Amazing. They lift everybody up. Not just the black community, which I'm really proud of.
Thank you very much for that. And
Pleasure.
yeah, just to add on to your Trailblazer comment, if anybody here is interested in getting into Salesforce,
yes.
The badges that you can earn on Trailblazer, they're recognized by employers and things like that as well, so it's not a waste of time. It's a great place to learn. I can't believe it's free, so take advantage.
It's free. And my point about recruitment, I mean it. I watch all the recruitment stats. I won't work with recruitment agencies that do not have a sustainable and meaningful approach to diversity.
Thank you very much, Zahra. Thank you. Cheers, Sam.
Yo, can we get a round of applause for him, please, man? That was a dope question for you to come out. Appreciate you, man.
I think you had a question at the back.
There was a lovely lady at the back.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
That's loud. Hi. First of all, that talk was amazing. I feel so inspired. My name's Amy. I work as a recruiter for Twitter. This is my lovely colleague, May.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, lovely to meet you. And my question is, so I'm very passionate about diversity and inclusion, and definitely in the US, we put a lot of emphasis on hiring, not just, because you were talking about data, and I want to understand basically what you do at Salesforce, because we put so much emphasis on hiring, women, and it's every company I've worked for, the emphasis in Europe has been on women.
Yeah.
We need a better gender split, blah, 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 and it's always data around that. And in the US, we have more specific data targets around, we want to hire X amount of black people, we want to hire Latinx, etc.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to do is understand how we can bring that in Europe, how we can, of course, we need to start collecting data around that.
Yeah.
But is there anything else, because that's going to take a long time, is there
Yeah.
anything else that you would recommend?
Yeah.
And how I can kind of push this
Yeah.
beyond just gender?
Yeah, so these are really good questions, and I would say the focus on gender is proven. By the way, and you'll know this, right? The focus on gender is proven that the more representation of females you have with any given community or organisation, the rest of the equality dimensions are improved. So we know that, but there's a whole load of studies on that. That's data driven. If you can fix gender, you can actually fix others so much more easily. It's not easy, right? When I talk about data, if I think about Salesforce, I look at how many people applied, and I look at the dropout through each funnel, male versus female, and the ethnic minorities that I can measure. So if you work for an American organization, as you do, people get very upset about self-identification and what data is recorded. So I completely respect and I understand that, but I'm also impatient. So within the bounds of legality, I look at what I can. And within Salesforce, we noticed that we were attracting, because we do a lot of work with, we have a lot of software that looks at job descriptions to make them gender neutral and not inflammatory. So and I'm doing this because I can picture my funnel, so I can see the male and female numbers were pretty equivalent, so we're attracting, and actually going through the process was actually really equal. And then, at the last panel for women, massive dropout. And I said, why is that happening? Why is that happening? Right? And in parallel to this, I set the expectations with all my teams. You will have diverse and inclusive environments. You will have diverse representations. Every time you show me an org chart and it looks the same, whatever is the dimension. I've had one scenario where I had all Pakistani and Indian team, and I was like, you need to fix that. You can't just have one dimension of everything, right? So at that point, I spoke with our brilliant recruiting team, and I said, help me understand why people are dropping out. And we put in place an exceptions council. So every time a female dropped out, I had the case reviewed. And we went from 18% female hiring to 54% female hiring in January. Because we were losing people incessantly, unnecessarily. We also make sure that in a panel, you have a diverse panel. I personally don't think panels are effective for women and ethnic minorities. I wouldn't want to go and present to 4 people my presentation on how I'm going to fix a business. It's much better to have a conversation. And then the last thing is I always make sure, certainly for our, especially for our black community, we're partnering with, and Sam will help me, we're partnering with a number of organizations so that we can buddy people up. And I want to make sure that if I've got a female hire coming into the organization or an ethnic minority coming in, they meet me, or they meet Bridget from Ghana, or they meet Shambhavi to understand their experience so that they can relate and ask the questions they wouldn't necessarily ask someone else. So does that answer your question? Yeah.
Is your mic turned on? Can someone turn on their mic, please? Try again, Amy. Yeah, it's on.
I might have turned it off by accident. That is so interesting. I would love to talk to you about this all day. There's so
Yeah.
many other things around attrition and everything, but I'll hand to someone else. But I just want to say, if anyone does want to come and talk to us, we would love to have a chat.
Can I just ask, you don't call anyone up and say, my client, my organisation, we need a female or a brown hire. You don't say that, do you?
Oh my God, no.
Do you know how many phone calls I take? Hey, Zahra, I'm a recruiter on behalf of this organisation. We need a diverse candidate, preferably brown and female. And they say it, and I go,
Oh
I
my
won't
God,
take the
say
call.
Some absolutely horrendous things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are still recruiters
A lot of
out
work
there.
to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we get a round of applause for Amy, please?
Yeah,
She asked a
Amy,
great
well
question. Blessing, how much time? We've got to wrap it up. Can we have one more question? One last question, yeah? All right, one more question. Lady in the green, please. Last question.
I've got a question for you in a minute. It's a fun one.
Hey Zara.
Hello.
I'm Georgia. I'm a business development representative at Spendesk. So my question for you is, I'm the only black woman in my team, and I'm finding it really difficult to have a conversation about promotion. So maybe just some words of encouragement or a process in which you had to go through to review your promotions, and when it came to that, what was said and how did you ask, basically?
First of all, well done for being where you are. And when you're talking about promotion, are you saying it's difficult to have a promotion with your leader about that?
Yeah, so just the initial conversation. So how did you go about even having the conversation of a promotion? I feel as a black woman, or the only black woman in my role, I feel a bit uncomfortable having the conversation. I don't know if anybody else feels like that.
I hear you, and I was given a bit of advice, and I felt so uncomfortable executing it, but I'm so glad I did, and it's a life lesson. So, a single conversation in time out of the blue is unnatural. What I would encourage you to be doing on a regular basis, and especially in the run-up to it, and I'll talk to you about the conversation in a second, expose your value. And what I mean by that is, don't go around shouting about it, but at opportune times, whether it's monthly or quarterly, make sure you're capturing your results delivered and send that in an email or sit down with your leader and say, just want to give you an update. I promise you it's a really weird thing to do. It doesn't necessarily feel unnatural, but if you're doing that and you've not been asked for it, it might feel strange. The second thing I did, and this is where I really cringed and I still laugh about it now, was I had to capture my self-input, right? So I thought, I'm going to be discussed. I want to make sure that I put the narrative in the hands of my leader, and it feels a bit weird. And I remember writing my feedback, and I remember laying on my bed with my laptop, and I said, I can't actually send it because it felt too self-serving. It felt self-serving. And I actually closed my eyes when I pressed send, and I laugh about that. I'm like, what was that going to change? I literally closed my eyes, pressed send. And I tell you, it was the best thing I ever did. So I now make a habit of, any role I'm in, I will give updates, and I will always send a self-input at promotion time. Having the conversation anchored in a set of results is way more easier than saying, you should be able to anchor why I should be promoted in that context. So if it's out of the blue, it's weird. But if you're warming up to it, it actually feels a much more natural discussion. Listen, I have delivered X, Y, and Z. I feel like I'm ready for another opportunity, a broader remit. I would really like you to consider me, and here's why. And also think about all the reasons they would say no, and head that off at the pass. So for example, I know I haven't worked in financial services, but I have worked in health or insurance, and actually there are some transferable things, and I'm willing to build upon that. So results, warm them up, clear conversation, track record, why you should be considered, grounded in data, and then all the reasons they should say no, and head that off at the pass. And just do it. He said, feel the fear, do it anyway, because there are 10 people around you going, pick me, I should do it. They'll do it. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. I just wanted to. The only reason why I asked that question is because I've done the whole review promotion thing. I've gone through it already, and I've obviously in a community you discuss your salary, discuss what salary you're on, and as a black female, I realised that I was actually getting paid less than a white female or a white male. And so now it's come to the point where I now have proven through my results that I'm achieving 150, 175% of my target each month. It's now come down to the promotion point where I'm like, okay, if I don't get this, I'm leaving. So just thought I'd ask.
Look, if you know those data points and the pay comparison, lay it out and put it in writing.
Yeah.
Don't just rely on put it in writing and ask for the explanation.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Guys, can we get another round of applause for
Yeah.
her, please? Like, everyone definitely has their own story. Blessing, how are we doing for time?
She's like, I'm done with you guys. She's like,
She's going to put me in a headlock soon. 1 minute.
1
So I
minute.
can still ask. Okay, cool. Fantastic. Seems like Ashley's not here yet, so we still have the floor. What was the question that you wanted to ask me, Zahra?
it's a fun one though. Am I allowed?
Yeah, you can ask.
Have you got your phone with you?
My phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see what the last song you played was.
The last song I played?
Yeah.
Very interesting. It might have been K-Trap Warm. Does anyone know K-Trap? Yeah, clap for that. What was the last song I played?
How do I see that?
It was K-Trap.
K-Trap. They are the last whip.
Major Scrape. Yeah.
I just need to know this.
Yeah. What's the last song you played?
Gardner and Omar, A Good Time.
Okay.
You don't even know what I'm talking about, do you?
No idea. No idea. I'm not even.
Anybody know Gardner? No?
Anyone know Gardner?
Grime artist?
You listen to grime?
I listen to everything. The
Okay.
only music I don't like is rock.
Really?
I hate rock.
Interesting. Not even Coldplay?
Not really.
Huh?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I got a fun question for you.
Yeah.
What was the last concert you went to?
John Hopkins, electronic artist.
When was that? Was that this year?
That was November last year.
We need to take you to a new
I
concert.
know, actually. But before that, the last one I went to was Spoonie and the Classical Orchestra at Royal Albert Hall. So there was Heartless Crew, Kelly LaRock, Craig David. There was loads of people there. It was amazing. Yeah.
What was the last concert I went to?
Yeah.
I think it might have been. Who was it? I can't even remember. I go to so many. This is annoying. I can't remember.
What's the best concert you've been to?
The best concert?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. It was 2019, Coachella, Beyonce.
Nice. Oh yeah.
The best thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
She's amazing.
She is incredible.
No one will do the Cuff It challenge with me.
What's that? I don't even know what that is.
Do you know what the Cuff It challenge is?
Does anyone know what that is? Like some people are nodding their heads. Does anyone know what that is?
Hashtag Cuff It challenge.
Hashtag Coffee Channel.
Yeah.
Oh, I have no idea what that is. Are we good? We ready to go? Okay, cool. Guys, please give a massive warm welcome to my guest today, Zahra.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me on stage.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.